And we're live. Sorry I'm late, everybody. Just my tabs got X'd out, so I had to restart all of them. Sorry I'm late, everybody. Shoot, do this again. Tabs got X'd out, so I had to restart. There we go. All right, so let's just jump right into it. We got share screen. We got Bitcoin. No. We got, no, whoops. Bitcoin is trading at 16,403. It's up a little bit from yesterday. Looks like we're in some sideways consolidation. But yeah, we're in some sideways consolidation. Nothing, no major price movement for a couple, maybe 2 weeks already. Then we got Hex. My gosh. We got Hex had a massive dump yesterday. Went all the way down to 2.2 cents, 2.3 cents. Now it's bounced back up to 2.5, 2.6 cents. And still, if you check Hex daily stats every day, you could still see that we are getting new holders and stakers. Yesterday, we got 97 new holders, so 97 wallets that never had Hex before, bought Hex, and today we had 16. And the change in current stakers was 340 new stakers yesterday, which is incredible, all during a bear market. But yeah, not gonna lie, the price action definitely a lot of pain here. The question is really how much lower it could go. A lot of it depends on broader markets, I think, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that would depend on the news. So how am I coming in? What's going on, Ethnio Sapien? Yo. Descending triangle there for BTC, bearish. Yeah. I'm not such a TA guy, but definitely bearish. The news is certainly bearish. If we get into it, I believe yesterday, BlockFi declared bankruptcy. We all remember Richard Hart saying, if you have your coins on Celsius, pull it. If you got your coins on BlockFi, pull it. And unbelievable how we're really seeing that all play out. If we could just read the article here. Crypto company BlockFi declares bankruptcy in the first big aftershock of the FTX fall. Another crypto company has fallen as contagion from the collapse of cryptocurrency exchange FTX spreads across the industry. BlockFi says it has filed for bankruptcy. Lender BlockFi was one of a handful of companies FTX bailed out in recent months, and its prospects worsened considerably as FTX imploded. A little more than 2 weeks ago, the once mighty crypto giant, founded by Sam Bankman-Fried, to bring everyday people into the opaque world of virtual currencies, filed for bankruptcy. And in the days since, the crypto industry Wall Street and even federal regulators have been on the outlook for the next domino to fall, wondering if the end of crypto is in sight or if wider financial stability is under threat. Yeah, I don't think that crypto could really bring down the broader financial markets. That would be ridiculous. That would be pretty big reach. I don't think that's really something that would happen. But so announcing its plans to file for Chapter 11 reorganization in New Jersey, where the company is based, BlockFi noted FTX's own bankruptcy proceedings will lead to delays. Rest assured, we'll continue to work on recovering all obligations owed to BlockFi as promptly as practicable, the company said in a letter to customers. So, yeah. So, a lot of this is due to FTX. And I think it was everyone pretty much saw this coming. So, I think it was priced into the markets already. But, so yeah, I think that's really priced in. I think people saw this. People already knew they were in trouble when FTX came to bail them out. But now that once FTX went down, everyone knew that it was over for BlockFi. So I think that's already priced in. I think that's why there was really no major price movement after this announcement. Bitcoin is actually up a little bit. So what is the next domino? That's the question. But if you see here, this happened the other day. BlockFi deleted their team page. Leave it here so you know where your precious Bitcoins are. Remember, not your keys, not your coins. Some wise person's been saying that for a while. So, yeah, remember these people. They got you to deposit your hard-earned money. And now they're just, I guess, they just take themselves down from the website like it never happened, trying to avoid accountability, I'd say. And then you see Bitcoin Magazine said BlockFi has 1 to 10 billion in liabilities, but only 256 million cash on hand. And with the FTX crash, it's hard to imagine that they're going to get any of it back. They might get some back for depositors. But I don't think they're the first creditors to get it, to get some compensation of the remaining funds. So they'll probably get like pennies on the dollar. That's what it's looking like with Celsius. The money's gone. Everything was wiped from the markets with crypto crashing and everything like that. So that's the news with BlockFi. So the question really is, what is next? What is next? And obviously, you guys know I'm a big fan of Otter. And today he just released a thread about KuCoin. And let me tell you, this guy has been pretty much on the money with everything. I remember when he was talking about Celsius being insolvent before they froze withdrawals, he talked about 3 Arrows, talked about FTX. So he's definitely got some good street credibility. And he's saying that KuCoin is having an epic bank run, yet management remains silent. A thread on KuCoin. Retweet, withdraw your funds, and read on. Let's like and retweet that. Yeah. So he's called Luna, 3 Arrows, Celsius, Finblocks, BlockFi, Voyager, Babel, and FTX. It's interesting because before I got into Hex, I was using KuCoin frequently. And I just left my funds there like it was nothing. I kind of just took it for granted. Like you just leave your coins on the exchange, like no big deal. It's what everyone does. So I thought KuCoin was like one of the safer ones. It was a good user interface. It was very easy to use. And now it's not looking good. Let's take a look here. Saying the remaining ones that have not fallen are Nexo and KuCoin. So there's a whistleblower. So he said he warned in July 2022, a whistleblower who was let off by KuCoin recent entrenchment round mentioned that the debacle wiped $400 to $500 million they lost it from Terra Luna. I remember the rumors spreading around that KuCoin had a lot in Terra Luna. So another retrenchment round. Otter has confirmed this to be true. This whistleblower. When a company or country requires more funds to plug the hole in their finances, they usually need to offer high interest rates to attract depositors. This is natural as depositors require less interest payments for compensation of the over the counterparty risk. So higher risk, higher reward. And you could see that right now. KuCoin's offering 186.67% on your Ethereum deposit and 275.56 on your Bitcoin deposit. So it seems like they're really desperate for liquidity. So when Sri Lanka was defaulted on its debts, it was yielding 20%. Ethereum 186.67. That is not looking good. It looks like we're one CZ tweet away from KuCoin freezing withdrawals. Based on this, if you'd ask me, but who knows? In another year, you may witness Otter's warning, but not this year. This is the year when the over-leveraged, incompetent, spendthrifting fools get hung out to dry and all their supporters broken alongside them. Wow. Best way to ensure survivability is to withdraw funds. If the exchange fails, you escape with your capital and a tale to tell. If the exchange does not fail, you've wasted 20 minutes and $20 in blockchain fees. So true. Yeah. People are just too lazy to take the time to really learn self-custody of their funds. And it's really coming back to bite them. I think there's a lot of trust in these centralized exchanges because basically you have with centralized exchanges, I think people are used to dealing in TradFi with Webull and and like Robinhood, and these things are very highly regulated. So they assume it's like the same sort of integrity, the same sort of transparency and government regulation and insurance, but it's not. Most of these companies aren't even in the US. I think KuCoin's in Hong Kong. BlockFi actually is in New Jersey, which is interesting. But I guess that was because they were dealing with FTX, and FTX is in the Bahamas. And for some reason, Sam Bankman-Fried is still not in. He's still not in. Not been arrested, not been prosecuted. He's been spotted in various places, including a supermarket in the Bahamas, which is insane. And the big news really is that Sam Bankman-Fried is going to be joining, I think it's Mario Naufal's Twitter space. It's BitBoy announced this. Yeah, here we go. Let me share the screen with you again. Look at this. Breaking news. Sam Bankman-Fried and I have agreed to do a Twitter Spaces within the next 2 weeks. He has unblocked me on Twitter now, so you can confirm we have spoken. Wow, I guess that trip really paid off. I look forward to getting the answers to the questions the community must have to move forward. That is interesting. I know BitBoy is close with Richard Hart, so if you could get Richard Hart and Sam Bankman-Fried in the same Twitter space, that would be insane. Yeah. That is crazy. So who knows? We're going to hear his side of the story. Maybe he's not so bad after all, but I doubt it. I doubt it. So overall I'd say when it comes to KuCoin and and BlockFi, I don't think that's big. I think so. Aside from KuCoin, the next one is it Nexo? Nexo is still solvent. For some reason, they're offering 10% yield on your USDC, and when you have Aave and yeah, compound Aave, they're offering 1.8%. That's the market interest rates. I think 2.35 on your USDT on Aave. Nexo's giving 10% on both, which I don't know. That's very, very hard to. I don't understand how. I don't understand where they're getting that yield from. Um, I guess the question is if they could avoid a bank run, if they could withstand a bank run. I highly, highly doubt it. But I did point out on Ben Dubard's show yesterday that it is interesting that everybody thought that Tether and Nexo were like they were considered the shady ones, and Celsius and BlockFi was considered like the highest level of integrity, like the best uh third counterparty to park your funds in and earn interest. It was BlockFi and Celsius. Like those were considered very credible. The founders were on TV all the time. They were on these big YouTube channels. I remember Mashinsky was on Rand Nooner, who's actually once on with Richard Hart. So yeah, like they were considered like the most credible, the most trustworthy institutions. And Nexo was considered the shady one. Everyone thought that the bear market would be brought in by Tether, and we still have Nexo and Tether. They are still standing. Question is really how long it's going to last. Um, I know Dirty Bubble Media actually wrote an article about Tether, um, which is interesting. They've never agreed to an audit. Tether has never agreed to an audit. I mean, they said they would, and then they ended up redacting it, and then they did some sort of like snapshot, signed off by a CPA. And it was reported that right before they did that snapshot to show that they had the backing of all the outstanding Tether funds, they transferred. I think it was like the total value outstanding of Tether at that time was 1 billion. Now it's like 40 billion, and they had to transfer 320 million or something from Bitfinex in order to show that they have backing, which was very, very shady. They paid fines to the to the New York Attorney General's office. They've paid fines to like a bunch of regulatory agencies, but for some reason they're still up. It boggles my mind that they're still up. Nexo's still up. I don't think a Nexo going out of business. I don't think that could really cascade the that can't. I don't think that's going to bring us to 11K and pray. Like I don't think Nexo's big enough, but I do think Tether could do that, and Tether could probably even go further. Could probably bring it below 11K. I mean, if all that money can't be redeemed if Tether loses the peg and all that crypto in the market can't be swapped for USDT, or the USDT that it's swapped for is worth pennies on the dollar, that would really crush crypto. I still think it would come back. I'm sure Tether has some backing, if not all, right? So it will be redeemable for something, but it would definitely hurt, and it's better to rip the band-aid off now. It would really stink if it like happened later on when crypto was a lot higher. I think it's best to happen during the bear market, during this bear market, because I believe in the next bear market prices are going to be even higher. But we're gonna have to wait and see. So I think the next another one of the so we have Nexo, we have KuCoin. I don't think either of those two are really big enough to really lead to a cascade, although I may be wrong. But the one that people are really looking at is Genesis. Um, Genesis has been Genesis is part of the digital currency group. which owns Grayscale and they own Grayscale and they own CoinDesk. They own a bunch of, you know, parent companies. If that goes down, that could be bad. I could see that really leading to the 11K thing. And they're really you have Barry Silbert of the digital currency group is like running around like a chicken without a head, trying to really raise money. So they could patch up the holes in the ship. But I don't know. It's really not looking good. They're saying that Grayscale is separate and wouldn't go down with it, but they've been saying like so many things. There's just no way of really knowing. There's no way of really knowing what the consequences are going to be, whether they're telling the truth or not. You only know if they're telling the truth once things already play out. So I don't know. The question is has the market bottomed? So I guess it goes back to the 4-year cycle. I think the longest bear market, if this bear market is the length of the longest bear market in that there's been previously, then it would go till December 20th. But I'd say even if it goes like a month or two longer, I'd say the cycle's still intact. But eventually, there comes a point where you're just like it's broken and that's it. But yeah, this is the seems like peak FUD, but there is the potential of going lower. I mean, you have Genesis, which is hanging by a thread right now. They're trying to raise capital. You have Tether, and then yeah. So I guess that has the potential to crash the market more. But I guess the title of the video was really about Hex, the frustration of Pulsechain launch. So my take on that is that people are really waiting for Pulsechain to launch. People want a time frame for Pulsechain to launch. They're saying this is why Hex is really dumping, and we're going to need Pulsechain to launch in order to really get us out of this. And yeah, we've been waiting for a year. The question is really, the question is when Pulsechain is going to launch. There's just no way of knowing, but I don't know. I see this as a tremendous opportunity. I mean, if you're into Hex, right? If you believe in Hex, you believe it's going to go up over time. I mean, you're really getting close to OG prices. You're really able to catch up with them. You're really able to cover some serious ground. So I really see this as a tremendous opportunity. And yeah, I don't know. Everyone's really, I said this yesterday with Ben Dubar that like everybody thinks that the that the bear market. Let me put up the Hex chart again. Oh, whoops. Okay, whatever. Everybody really thought that the bear market. It sounded so easy. The prices, they go down, and you just buy it up, and then you get rich in the next bull market. It's really not that easy. When you look at charts from past bull markets, you're only looking at the charts. You can't see what the sentiment was. You can't see the capitulation, the exchanges crashing. You couldn't see the exchanges crashing. You couldn't see like people saying it's going to zero. I mean, crypto was a very novel thing. It was very fringe. People really thought that it was never ever coming back. Like that's it. Mt. Gox went down. All these other companies went down. Bitcoin crashed over 90%, and it felt like it was the end. But it wasn't. And the people that were in it, they got rewarded tremendously. So I mean, here it's like I think everybody really agrees that crypto's here to stay. I mean, there are some, normies out there that would say that that it's gone forever. It's just a scammy thing because of FTX. But people that really know, they understand that crypto has reached that mainstream adoption. You have it's basically covered on NBC, CNBC every single day. Um, it's it, it's there are these big names like Anthony Scaramucci. There's Saylor. There's Elon Musk. That buy crypto, or that are there are these big institutions like Grayscale and like BlackRock that are offering crypto services and exposure to crypto on their exchanges and things like that. So there is consensus that it has value. There are people that want to buy it at these prices, and more people that want to buy it at even lower prices. So I don't think there's really much doubt whether or not it comes back. But when you're watching the news and you see all these companies going out of business, it really, and also you see the inflation and you see the interest rates being raised, there does it, and your portfolio is down over 90%. It does creep in on you, like, hey, like, this is kind of scary. It's not that easy. It's not that easy to put in more money. Everyone thinks that there's gonna it's gonna go down more. You should hold off. It may or may not, but it looks like we are at peak FUD right now. But there is reason for it to go lower, and that's why I believe dollar cost averaging is really the way to go. I'm a big fan of dollar cost averaging. Um, but as far as like Pulsechain launch, it sucks that Pulsechain didn't launch yet. But the real question is like, would it really save you? I'm saying, like, if Pulsechain comes out right now, is it going to do a 10x under these market conditions? I can't really see that happening. Um, but who knows? I mean, RH Max talked about this when I was on with him, that there are these, there's big money that's waiting to buy. It's possible, um, but I I don't know. I mean, I think in order to really get back to those in order for Hex to really get back to those all-time highs, and then some, and then to go to those like $1, $2, $3 ranges. I think that requires interest rates to start getting cut. That would require Bitcoin to start making new all-time highs. And we had insane euphoria from like the crypto markets, where people just thought it was going to go up forever. And I think a big correction's inevitable. And there are all those narratives around it, but I mean, that's just the way it is. Um, yeah, that's really what I'd say about that. But the last thing I wanted to cover before I got to the chat, and if you have any questions or anything you want me to cover, just leave it in the chat and I'll go over it. But I in my last video I talked about inflation, and I talked about how it's inevitable that it's going to top off, and that's why I was pretty bullish in like the medium, I guess not the near short term, but the short term, as in like a year from now, 2 years from now. I do think that the crypto markets are going to return, because if inflation comes down, then the Feds are obviously going to start slashing rates, and the markets are going to go to new all-time highs. And there are a lot of these people that are in this mindset that inflation's never ever going to come down. The Feds are hiking rates, but it's not enough. They print, the Fed keeps on printing money. We saw 8.4% peak on the CPI. We're just seeing the beginning. We're going to hyperinflation. And I kept on saying that that's not how it works. What I said in the last stream was that the reason why we're seeing inflation is because during COVID, people weren't spending money. So they were able to, save. They weren't spending because they were stuck in their houses. And also you had the stimulus checks coming in. So people not spending and having all this free money from the government, you reopen. The people in the middle class, they start spending more money. And when they start spending more money, then the prices of goods go up. But eventually, when the prices go up enough. So the prices go up, they get raises maybe, and then they maintain their high spending habits, and then inflation continues. But there comes the point. There comes the point where inflation keeps going up, and they don't get these raises. Like, you can't just keep on going to your employer for a raise, especially when you have the Fed raising rates. So what happens is they have less money now. They can't afford those things that they were buying previously, those higher end, goods, food. They were buying maybe more expensive meat, and they were buying more expensive clothing, more expensive vacation, all those things. Now prices go up to the point they can't afford it anymore. They're not getting the raise. They cut spending. When you cut spending, the prices come down, or at least they don't go up anymore. So that was really what I said. And I did get some comments from some people. I clipped the video. So when you clip it, the good thing is that I'm able to bring in people that people watch. If it's not on Hex Pulsechain, there are people from other communities that really come in and see. And I'll show you the comments. Interesting comments over here. I said, inflation is not going down, and it's foolish to think it is until there's a massive crash that forces the government to stop spending. Now, if you're using the informal definition of inflation, prices going up, instead of the real definition, expansion of the money supply, it's somewhat of a different story. It is possible we could see some prices going down as people cut back on spending, but that would be a pretty small degree, if at all. In the 80s, inflation went down because the interest rates were hiked above the rate of inflation. That was the high interest rate at 19%. What we have now is still historically very low. We really need interest rates above the inflation, which, if the CPI wasn't rigged to underestimate, it would be above 20%. Yeah, well, the CPI, that I agree with. They do rig it to, they have changed the metrics from what it was in the 80s to make inflation look like it's less than it actually is. But it's not the government to stop spending. So he sort of agrees with me. Brings up the 80s. In the 80s, the interest rates were hiked to 19%, but interest rates in general back then were just a lot higher. It was hiked from 12% to 19%. I'm not sure if 12 was above what inflation was at the time. I'm sure for at least some. Yeah, I'm sure. Was it 12% in the 80s? It might have already been above the interest rate. But the point is that recessions are deflationary. So when the Fed raises rates and companies can't borrow money, it's, they have to start laying off workers, and they spend less money. And also people are less inclined to spend on goods and services, because they could buy bonds and they could get a decent yield. I think right now you could get over 5.5% on treasury bonds, which is getting close to, the S&P 500 return. So there's just less spending. I think it leads to unemployment, and it leads to, and then obviously people are less likely to buy houses and stocks. Obviously that's the first thing to go down, because the interest rates are high. They're just less likely to borrow money. And when they don't borrow money, they can't necessarily make payroll. They can't pay for goods and services. There is less money in circulation, right? Basically what the Fed does is they just take the bonds, they go to the banks, they trade the bonds for the cash. Now the banks have less cash on their balance sheet, so they have to, since it's more scarce, they what's it called? They lend it out at a higher rate, which just slows down the economy. That's just less money in circulation. And then we have from Wanda, what about the train strike? You don't think that will add to it? What about the food, the things we actually need to buy? That is not going to come down. How can it, when we've been told over and over that there will be a food shortage? What about what's happening in China? You know how much of the things in store come from there. The train strike, I don't think that, I think Congress is stepping in on that. And these things are usually resolved quickly, because once the consequences hit, one side, gives in. And then, yeah, the food, again, when inflation goes, that's what happens. It goes up high and then people buy less. And when people buy less, the prices come down. People think that inflation is an increase in the money supply. That is not true. Increase in the money supply does not necessarily lead to higher prices. You have to understand is that the way inflation works is you need an increase in the money supply and then times an increase in the velocity of the money. Meaning what? Meaning that if the money gets spent, if the money gets swapped for goods and services, then there's less goods on the shelf and there's more money in people's yeah, there's less goods on the shelf, right? And the demand stays the same, and now these goods are more scarce, so the price goes up. The price goes up, and there's more money in people's pockets. So you need the money to be spent. Um, Government spending. The government generally doesn't spend on these things like the way consumers spend on, for example, food and things like that. I think that's what people have to realize. So basically, when the prices go up, people buy less of it or they don't buy it, and then the prices come back down, right? And that's really ends up always going back to equilibrium. I think with the Fed tightening, I think we're already seeing inflation go down. It doesn't mean the prices are going to go back down. There could be some deflation. I know that that he that a recession is deflationary, so we could see some of that. But when the CPI comes down, it just means inflation isn't going up as much. So if they get back to the 2% inflation, then inevitably they will start cutting rates, and then the stock market will go up again, and then crypto will go up again, and then hex will go up again. That's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, and you got to do your own research. But I think inflation topped, and I think that's very bullish in the long run. So yeah, let's go to your comments. What's your background? Um, Background is in schooling, things like that. I mean, I took accounting major. I took economics and I took finance. So I took macroeconomics and I took corporate finance and principles of finance. So I have some financial background. Okay. Is Richard timing the market to release Pulsex and Pulsechain at the bottom of the market at Richard's BTC prediction of around 10K? So yeah, I don't think so, because he said he was releasing it in May, and that was not and that was not even close to that 11K call. And people would say, "Oh yeah, he was not telling the truth or whatever. He really knew he wasn't going to release it." Like, did that work out well for him? It worked out horribly. Him not releasing it got the price of hex dumped, and people were obviously very upset. So he's explained why it wasn't released. They switched from Binance Smart Chain fork to ETH 2.0. So yeah, I don't think so. I think he's just going to release it when it's ready, and tech takes a lot of time. I mean, that we know that to be true, right? These things just generally end up being late. Unsung hero. I think the launch of PLS is going to be around Q3, Q4 2023, simply because we should expect a rally closer to the halving. Interesting. I think the halving is scheduled for April 2024. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just going to come out when it's ready. I think at this point it's like the markets are so oversold that what difference is it really? You release it at $15,000, yeah, $15,000, 15,000 Bitcoin, or you release it at 11K. I don't think it really matters. I think people would I think people would people would be happier if it just comes out at this point, but who knows? Okay. Frustration. Richard Hart has saved everyone from making stupid decisions during the bear market. 100% agree with that, Lammy. Yeah, people just don't get it. um, yeah, I mean, I had my money in Celsius before he said to pull it, and I got my money out. I put into Hex. There was better yield, and you get to hold your keys. And he's been telling everyone, not your keys, not your coins, this entire time, and that is coming to fruition. So yeah, people are just, I don't know. There's just this fatigue. There's this bear market fatigue. I was saying that, like, everybody thinks that the everybody thinks that the bear market is going to be awesome. Like, everyone's going to sell the top or close to the top, and you know they're going to wait for that blow off the top like in the previous cycles, and they're going to have that capital to deploy at the consolidation. They don't realize that they don't realize the sentiment, the uncertainty. You have the uncertainty of the bankruptcies of all these big companies that were getting overly leveraged. You have the uncertainty of inflation in the Federal Reserve monetary policy, right? All the previous bull markets happened during an easy monetary policy. Interest rates were pretty much zero. That is a big reason why people said that that crypto was able to go so high. There was just so much money, and the liquidity was thin. It just takes a little money in there for everyone to have mad gains. And now we're going back to this hard monetary policy, this scarce monetary policy. And I mean, we're assuming they're going to cut interest rates soon, but no one knows for sure. So you have that uncertainty, and then you have the uncertainty of all these big companies going under. Like, how many more are going to go down? I mean, people are talking about maybe Coinbase. People are even saying Binance. Because there was that news yesterday of them moving some of the money out of the wallet that was supposed to be part of the proof of reserves. So you had obviously Genesis, Grayscale refused an audit. Coinbase refused an audit and proof of reserves. It's just very scary. Like, this is the sentiment that's going around, and obviously nobody saw the top coming except for Richard. Sort of. I mean, there was a double top, which made a slightly higher high, but everyone thought it was going to at least 100K. Everyone thought that the sign of the top would be a blow off top, where like the previous markets, and then it didn't happen. It just kind of rolled over, and then there was this major cascade with Celsius and Luna, and now you have FTX. So it's just, it's very frustrating, and people are trying to find really a scapegoat, and they want to make it like it's Pulsechain and not launching. That's what's really driving the price of Hex down. It's like, look around you, bro. Like, look at all of the cryptos out there. Just like, they're all down except for like Bitcoin and Ethereum and BNB, which for some reason doesn't go down like crazy, but they're all down over 90%. Hex is no exception, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So Pulsechain launch, with that, I mean, I'm sure there would be some relief, but would that bring us to the promised land of, new all-time highs for Hex? I really don't think so. But I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I'd be happy either way. But yeah, I mean, if you're in the right projects, if you're in the right spots, if you're in the right spaces, I mean, this is a tremendous opportunity. I mean, everyone says that, it's for sure going to come back, and you just have to buy the dip. But yeah, crypto's going to come back, but most of them aren't coming back. So it's not really that simple. I guess the blue chips, are coming back, but the blue chips also, they're not going to give you these life-changing returns in the next bull market. Like, it's unlikely that, for example, like Bitcoin or Ethereum or even Cardano at this point are going to give you those mad gains that it's given you in previous bull markets. It's certainly going to run up, but like if Bitcoin goes to 100K, 120K, you're getting like a 12x, whatever it is. You're going to maybe get a 12x from the all-time low. Ethereum was a 48x or something last bull market, so maybe it'll be like a 30x. And you're not getting out at the top, so yeah, these gains are diminishing. So it's not really that simple. But if the smaller ones, like in my opinion, Hex and Pulsechain and PulseX, those are the ones that are going to be the moon runners that will give people these life-changing gains. But yeah, I think that's really where the frustration for Pulsechain comes. I think people are not able to see the big picture. Just step back. Everything's down like crazy. Hex is not the exception. I mean, it sucks, but it's not the exception. I don't know why people are blaming it on Pulsechain. I think it's in a way it's very good. I think if people are relying on Pulsechain for for Hex to come back up, and if they can't get what they want, they can't get Pulsechain to come, they're gonna emergency end stake and sell their bags, or they're gonna FUD everyone. Then it's good that these kind of people come out, because Hex is gonna continue to drop. Maybe not 90, maybe 80 in the next bull market, whatever it is. But crypto is very volatile, right? It's the price you pay for the world's fastest appreciating asset. So these drops are inevitable, and you're not going to have Pulsechain, the prospect of Pulsechain to save you. And then, like, what are you going to do then? So I think it would be good for these people to get flushed out, and people that are willing to buy, during these points of uncertainty, to be the big bag holders, right? The people that are smart enough to step back and see the big picture, see that crypto's down. It's not Pulsechain. It's not the Pulsechain delay that's destroying the Hex price. I'm not saying it doesn't have any impact, but I'm saying, yeah, I mean, remember, it's tied to the broader markets to an extent. Okay. The highest of stakes is scheduled for early mid-year 2023. I'm sure the launch of Pulse will be close to this, and we will have our own bear run before the halvening. You mean bull run? Halvening early 2024. So yeah, that's interesting. People said that that Hex is going to bottom first because it topped first. Definitely very possible. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't, but I hope so. That'll be great if we could front run the bull market. Hello. Entheosapien. Is it as dangerous to hold fiat on an exchange? Gemini states that it is FDIC. Why would you do that, man? Yeah, I was just at this point, I think that's the worst. Yeah, I don't know, man. These exchanges say a lot of things. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but I would not do that. I would not do that. And Gemini's having these issues because they're tied to Genesis. Does that mean that they're saying that, the regular Gemini exchange has no ties? Does that mean it's true or not? I don't know. May or may not be true, but no reason to do that. Especially, you could swap it for, like, let's say USDC and send it to your MetaMask. Why would you hold it on an exchange? Like, why? And then you're also running the risk of, if, let's say, Pulsechain launches when it's on the exchange, you're not getting your copies on the other side. So why would you want to hold it on? Yeah, I'd say it's dangerous to hold fiat on a centralized exchange. Yeah, but no, good question. I would say yes. And news of V3 will give us our first solid pump. Some think to 10 cents, and we're going up from there. Possible. Hope so. We are 99.9% sure PLSX won't appear till the license expires on Uniswap V3. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, because they want to fork V3 instead of V2, and they can't fork it now. I don't know. Nice. Thank you. That coincides with what I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad. Fully decentralized comes back to what I said, that Hex really incentivizes self custody and, taking your money off exchanges, because if you leave it on an exchange, you can't earn the yield. The only way you could earn the yield is if you bring it into a your own wallet. If you bring it into, I mean, I'm hoping a hardware wallet, but at least a wallet that you have your own keys. So a lot of people don't really want to take the time to um to uh to really buy the wallet, which will cost like 60, $70, and then just store their seed phrase on a sheet of paper. But when you know that you're going to be earning so much yield, so much trustless yield, you're going to do it. You're going to do it, and I'm grateful for that. um so yeah, that pretty much covers it. um Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry for the delay, because my tabs got wiped out, but I really enjoyed doing this. And until the next time. Oh, wait. Yeah, I guess. Why can't you just fork you can't just fork V2 and then upgrade it with the code from V3 when that happens? I don't know. I'm not such a techie, but I don't see why you can't do that. But that is a good point. Definitely a good point. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And by the way, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter at furufinance. Really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.